This is a bad one. Yeah, this is a bad one. Yeah, this is a bad one.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Isabella. I'm an orphan digital content creator. That's what the word was. And welcome back to day 20. Hey guys, so technically I'm filming this on day 25, but this is for day 20. And basically, what I wanted to talk about on today was failure in general, and how obviously you shouldn't feel like a failure, but also it's okay to accept those valid feelings. I did have this a lot more planned in my head. It's just my brain is so scattered right now. Everything's a little bit crazy. But let's just talk about, I guess, failure overall. So obviously I'm a uni student. You would probably be aware of that if you follow any of my older videos, watched any of those, or just in general, like the earlier vlogs. I did have a lot of like uni kind of content in it, and I just finished my exams. Well, I haven't at the time this video was supposed to be filmed. But basically what I wanted to talk about was just failure in general. So obviously as a student, if you don't get a certain grade, you fail a subject. That is a pretty cutthroat, clear sign of failure. But in terms of writing, is there really another like certain benchmark that you have failed? I don't think there is. So to be fair, while I have feel like I have completely failed as a student because my classes have just been incredibly intense, have been incredibly crazy and chaotic this semester, because let's be for real, doing full math classes back to back is just insane, and it's just so, it just gets to the point where it's like kind of overwhelming, and everything just feels like it's kind of colliding together, but they're not. And then you use the same symbols in all the classes, but they all have different meanings in different classes, so it's just like a whole thing. But as a student, I have feel like if I don't get a certain mark, then I obviously fail. Like, it's pretty clear. It's literally written in the guidelines, the academic guidelines, like everything. It's there. But in terms of writing, do I feel like I've kind of failed the November writing diaries? Yes, I feel like I have a little bit, especially in terms of the vlogs, because I wanted to try and keep it consistent. I wanted to upload literally the day either of or the next day, but I haven't. Like, at the time this video is filmed, I literally still have 2 videos up, and that was day 1 and day 2, and it's day 25 as I'm filming this. So I do feel like I kind of failed in terms of like keeping up with November writing diaries. But did I fail in terms of the writing component of this kind of challenge? Maybe not as much, because I am still writing every day. Yes, I'm not writing crazy word counts or word goals like 5,000 words a day or 1,000 even, but I'm still showing up for myself and writing at the end of the day, if that makes sense. And even if it's like small, like 10 words, like I literally had a 10-word day, at least I showed up and wrote something, because that could have been a 0-word day easily if I chose not to do it. I have gone through so many like different thoughts in terms of like the ideal failure, what failure is to me, especially in this month, because I did have my exams this month. My exams, they weren't as smooth going as they were in the first semester. It has just been like a crazy roller coaster of emotions, and I feel like I failed everything. Like, not only in terms of like uni sometimes, but I also feel like I failed my business. I failed on social media. I failed at writing. I failed at being a good author and a good friend. But obviously that isn't true at the end of the day. It's just how I'm perceiving how bad things have gone, and just trying to figure out a reason for it when there isn't really a specific reason I can pinpoint. It's just this feeling of, oh yeah, I couldn't do this thing, I didn't do this well enough, or I couldn't achieve this, so I just failed. That's not really how life works. It's not how reality works, and it definitely isn't how writing should work either. If something doesn't work out in a writing project, you can always edit it in the end. It's fixable. You can always make changes at the end of the day, right? But why does it always feel like we can't make those changes? Why do we assume when we are doing the thing in the moment that it's not fixable, it's not changeable? Like, we know everything isn't set in stone. The future isn't set in stone, for literally saying this in like the most generic terms. Everything we do will lead to a consequence, right? But whether that consequence is good or bad, we're never going to know we can assume it will be one or the other, but we will never have a correct response. And not all consequences are going to be good. They're not always going to be bad either. Sometimes they'll kind of be a mix of both. It's not something you can predict, and it's definitely not something we should like use as a measurement in terms of what failure is. And I guess what I'm trying to like get to the point of in this case is like failure shouldn't be used as a measurement of success, or in terms of writing, I guess it shouldn't be used as something for like, particularly in November where we do all these crazy writing challenges, as a way to characterize yourself as a writer, or how to view yourself as a writer in general, or as a person. In terms of obviously students who might be going through exams at this time, we shouldn't feel like we are bad students or bad writers because we can't do one or the other. We know at the end of the day our priorities are all going to be different. They're always going to be changing. Like, we can't, say this or that. It isn't as clear and stone as we want it. Sometimes we do need to study over writing, even if we don't want to. Sometimes we may have more time to write, but studying could be more important in that case. All these things do play into factors, and while they're not always desirable, sometimes they're important, and we know that they're important, and it can make us feel like we're failing the other thing we have to give up. At the end of the day, failure is subjective, but also failure shouldn't be used as a way to just say you're completely terrible at everything. You're terrible as a friend, terrible as a writer, terrible as this or that. At the end of the day, failure should just be viewed as a stepping stone to getting to the pathway that you want to be in, the career you want, the life you want to pursue, etc. Failure isn't really something to be scared of. It's something we need to go through. And at the end of the day, if we don't fail, how do we grow? How do we learn? That is kind of like where my headspace is at, and kind of what I want to talk about for day 20, especially with how everything's been going, how life has been in general. I know even though I'm filming this on day 25, I still feel like that sometimes. Like, I finish my exams. I literally have no choice now. I have to just wait for my mark. But if I did fail any of those subjects, I just have to remember that at the end of the day, this is okay. And it's not like I'm a bad student. It's not that I can't study or I don't know how to do this or that. It's just, at the end of the day, I put in the best of my efforts into what I did for that exam. If it didn't work out, it didn't work out. So it is what it is. But that is kind of what I want to talk about, and I hope you guys kind of feel a bit more comforted by that. I feel like it was very crazy and very not planned well. I'm so sorry about that. My brain's just been all over the place. Welcome to, I guess, day 24. It is technically day 25 today when I'm filming this, so I'm just playing catch up here. So day 24, I didn't really vlog this day. I did plan on doing so, but things just happened, things got in the way, and I did not end up picking up the camera. So we're just gonna do a wrap up. We're gonna just talk about the week. We're gonna do literally a weekly catch up, because at this point I filmed a little bit throughout the week, but it was like really sporadic and it was really bad. So let's basically just catch up on how day 18 all the way to day 24 went. So on day 18 I did film, and I would say I did a pretty good job of filming considering how I always forget to film, and I was kind of happy with that. It went well. I'm really happy with the footage I did manage to get, so no issues with that. Day 19, this is where things start to go downhill. So I think I mentioned this in another vlog that you would have seen probably prior to, but there was a strike in New South Wales, and our transport systems, our public transport system at least, was basically impacted. And I had already booked a trip. I had booked a bunch of things for my birthday with my friends, and this caused a lot of issues for us because it was really hard to travel, it was really hard to get around, and it just was really chaotic in general. So that was honestly the worst experience ever. I was stressing so much. I was like teaching a lot as well, so everything just felt like it was just happening all at once, so it was stressing me out. And yeah, I did not end up filming a lot on Tuesday in the end. On Wednesday I just chose not to film at all. I was like fully stressed. I was like, this is it, I just want to take the day for myself, which is what I ended up doing. So I took the day off basically, and I did write, I just didn't film anything. So basically day 20 was just like a relaxation day. I did actually want to write a lot on that day, didn't end up getting around to it. So it ended up being a really busy work day for me, but not in work like business work, which is like my own business where I write, do social media and all of that. I had like actual admin work from other jobs and like other things I do. So that was that, and that was basically how I spent day 20. I also did a lot of studying throughout this week because I had my stats exam on the 22nd, but we'll get up to there soon. So day 21, I tried vlogging again, did not end up happening. So day 21, there was another little like change in the transport system, news, strike, industrial action situation that was going on. And basically what happened was our New South Wales government premier, there was like a lot of meetings going back and forth. I wasn't really sure. I wasn't really paying attention to news because I was like, I just don't want to have to deal with this right now. I was making a lot of calls trying to see if I could like, you know, cancel things or rebook things. There was a whole chaotic process. The fact that all of this stuff was happening, it was even harder to film. It was really hard because I didn't want to obviously film when I wasn't in the best headspace, and I didn't want to just like kind of rant constantly to the camera, if that makes sense. But yeah, so all of these issues aside, our transport system strike industrial action was basically somewhat reversed on day 21, and we were able to continue forward with the trip. Now this caused a lot of issues because I had already made plans all over again to run the same trip that we were going to do on day 23 on day 27 of this month. Now obviously you're going to be watching this prior to day 27 and we've already done the trip. So I had to go and message every single person I had messaged and basically made plans for with. I don't like going on Instagram. Like, I absolutely hate having to go on Instagram and TikTok and like social media in general, so I always try to avoid as much as possible. But since I was planning most of this over Instagram, it was a whole process. So to be fair, I don't even go on Instagram. Like, you would know if you have been on my Instagram or if you follow my Instagram. I'm not on it. I'm rarely active. I rarely interact in general on Instagram or TikTok. So basically what I'm trying to say here is I don't use Instagram and TikTok often. If you message me on those platforms, if you interact with my posts on those platforms, I will very unlikely respond to those comments or messages because I just don't ever go on the apps. I never do. It's just like not part of my routine. It's kind of like slowly moved away from being part of my business as well. So I have started to focus more on YouTube and growing that. So I will still have my Instagram and TikTok up. It's just I don't think I'm going to be posting on there as much. And if I do choose to post on there, I'm going to be using those like scheduling apps. So I can't actually access any messages, I think. I don't know. I haven't used one in ages. But basically my plan moving forward into 2025 is to not use those social media platforms because it's just as much as I know I need to kind of use them in order to grow my business, in order to grow obviously my audience and readership. It's just not what I find most enjoyable or really what I want to focus my time and energy on, because growing on those platforms I know is literally like, it depends on the person, but in terms of like the industry I'm in and what I'm doing in life and like what I want to focus on in terms of my life goals, it's not really where I want to put my energy and time into right now. I am incredibly busy with uni. I'm incredibly busy with my own businesses. I am busy with my own job in general and like all those extracurriculars and commitments I have. I have a social life, I have family, I have like literally all these other commitments I need to actually put time into and energy into, and I don't have the time to do that with the social media platforms I obviously don't want to interact with. I don't want to go on. I like avoid as much as possible. I do so many like social media detoxes because I hate going on those apps, and every time I go on those apps I just feel like my brain's all fogged up, it's all clogged, everything just goes out the window basically. So to me, those apps I try to avoid as much as general. It's not because I have like a negative association with them, it's just they're not really my favorite apps. I don't really like going on them, and I don't like using them in general. Like, the platform itself in terms of connecting with people is great and all. It's just, I don't know, I'm not the kind of person who really enjoys going on social media. I really don't like using social media. Like, if I'm talking to someone, I would much rather use WhatsApp or like Apple Messages. I really try not to use Instagram or like those social media messaging platforms. I literally used to have Snapchat and I used it for like probably a good 2 weeks, I would say. Haven't touched the app since. Like, it's still on my phone. I just haven't gone through it. I haven't done anything on it. Don't even take photos on it. Like, it just sits on my phone, basically taking up memory for no reason. I really need to go through and delete it one day. But that's kind of how Instagram, TikTok, it kind of feels to me. And I know it's important for my business, and I know I should really try to focus on growing them. But right now, in this like phase of life, this stage in life, it's not what I want to do with my time. It's not where I feel like my energy should be going, and it's definitely not where I should be focusing on, considering I do have quite a crazy year ahead, and it's just not the right kind of thing I should be focusing on. For YouTube, I do want to continue to focus on that because it is a lot more enjoyable for me. I do prefer, I guess, making long form content, like obviously these chatty vlogs in general. It's a lot more enjoyable for me compared to like filming things for TikTok and Instagram. Like, it's a lot easier to obviously film for those videos, but in terms of like enjoyment, like personal satisfaction after doing all of this work, like, do I get as much satisfaction from TikTok and Instagram? No, not really. I feel like YouTube is kind of more enjoyable for me. It's what I prefer to do. It's what I would rather do with my time as well, compared to Instagram and TikTok. I do want to say I do have a very supportive Instagram and TikTok network. Like, I completely adore that, and I'm really grateful and thankful for it, but it's just not exactly, at the end of the day, my goal for my business either. And right now I have been re-evaluating a lot of my life goals, a lot of my goals for 2025 as well. I love setting crazy goals. If you've watched any of my goal videos, you will know that I am super ambitious, that it's probably unhealthy sometimes. But after seeing my timetable for 2025, it's no longer possible. And with obviously work and everything else going on, it's not exactly the right thing to be doing, and it's not really what I want to do at the end of the day. So that's kind of that little little rant, whatever you want to call it. No longer be active on Instagram or TikTok. If I do post on there, it's usually through a third-party site, and I will probably very unlikely respond to comments or anything else. So I'm so sorry if you have messaged me on there. I just haven't been on the app. I've basically just removed the app at this point, and I have been avoiding any of those social media platforms because I do not want to focus my energy on something I shouldn't be focusing it on. So day 21 went pretty well overall after all that communication had begun and done, but I was stressing. Like, I was trying to get stats done. I was starting to freak out because it wasn't necessarily like something I didn't understand or like content wise. It was more in the sense of like, I was so panicked about failing the subject that I started to second guess everything I knew. Did I really have to do that in the end? Not necessarily, because day 2022, what? Day 22 came by really quickly. I couldn't really sleep that well. I felt really sick, to be honest, on the morning of day 22. I obviously just blame it on my anxiety for that exam, but the exam went so well. I actually expected myself to finish a little bit quicker than I ended up doing, but yeah, it went well. I'm happy with my performance. I feel like I did well enough to pass the subject, but now it's just like a waiting game. I literally find out my results in 4 weeks, which is insane to me because I am so scared, and I'm just hoping I did a good job in the exam to basically push my mark up, because stats has been so hard, and basically this is the stats class that's like a prerequisite into my stats class for next year. So if I don't pass this, I literally am being delayed in my degree for like a good 2 years, which is obviously not fun and not really what you want to do when your degree is so like chaotic. That's kind of how day 22 went in terms of the morning. I feel like I filmed a little bit that day, but I literally cannot remember for the life of me, so I apologize. Whatever footage you do end up seeing, it may be pretty bad. Like, I don't know what I filmed. My cousin ended up coming over, and yeah, just basically had a fun time chilling with family. Nothing really interesting, nothing really out of the ordinary in terms of like Friday nights. So yeah, that's kind of how that went. And of course, finally we have day 23. So day 23 was Saturday, and basically that day I went out with my friends, obviously, to celebrate, and we had a lot of fun. It was really enjoyable for us. We just managed to get through. It was a whole chaotic process, like just getting everything organized, but it was so worth it in the end. And I'm so happy I ended up going through with that trip and I didn't cancel it, because I was on the verge of canceling everything. So yeah, I had fun. I really enjoyed it. Would I do it again? Probably not. And do I want to do something next year for my birthday? At this rate, no, not really. I feel like I'm a bit too stressed to have to go through a whole planning stage again, and I don't really want to do anything as crazy as I did this year. So I was thinking like not even celebrating my birthday next year, but then I was like, actually, maybe I should. So who knows, we'll see how this goes. 2025 is definitely going to be an interesting year. It's going to be chaotic, and like, for lack of a better word, chaotic is literally all I can think of. I'm really excited for 2025 and I can't wait. Day 24, for like a really quick summary, it was just like a family day. We didn't do anything. I barely wrote, barely focused on anything. I was like, you know what, I'm done with uni now. Let's just like chill. I literally am on break for just this coming week and I'm back in uni, so I'm trying to enjoy the most of it. I'm trying to enjoy the last few days of freedom before I'm back doing assessments and all of that stuff again, because, you know, it is how it is. Basically, next year, for 2025, I'm taking about 12 classes. So, it's going to be insane. And the most amount of classes people do is like 8. So, I'm taking 4 extra. And that's because there was a bit of a conflict in my degree, so that had to happen. Unfortunately, I had no choice. If I wanted to delay my graduation by 2 years, I could have, but I also don't want to stay in uni as much as like the next person probably wants to get into uni. And okay, that does not make sense. I don't want to stay in uni longer than I have to, and I would much rather be speeding the process along if possible and just seeing how things go. Obviously, I'm not taking all those 4 extra classes on top of my other classes because I am a crazy person. It's because there was an issue in my timetable and I had to enroll in those without the like consequence of having to have my degree delayed and everything. That will I pass all of these classes? I'm just praying I do, because I don't want to repeat these. There are a lot of math classes once again, and I hate math. I'm not a math person. I think we've made this pretty clear in most of my uni vlogs. So I'm hoping it goes well. I'm hoping everything works out, and can't wait for 2025. I know this is not technically a planning video, but I'm literally reevaluating my life choices like towards the end of this month, so end of November. So we're going to have a lot of these chats in future vlogs, and in December it's literally just going to be like, is this really sustainable for me? Is this really what I want to continue doing into 2025? And if I do, obviously I want to continue YouTube, but like, how many videos can I try and consistently post, because I do want to try and be consistent with my schedule. It's just a bit chaotic right now, but how many can I post sustainably and consistently without obviously burning myself out, but also making it still pretty feasible for myself and for you guys to enjoy. But yeah, that's gonna be the little wrap up for the week, and I guess day 24's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm so sorry it was so long and chatty, but yeah, that was kind of how the week went and why I basically didn't film. Not that it's really an excuse. I'm really happy that it managed to work out for the best, and yeah, that's kind of how the week is. Let's hope the last week of November goes really well, and I guess I'll see you in day 25's vlog. Until then, stay healthy, stay happy, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!
Yeah, this is a bad one. From sprinting to